I wanted to say real quickly, I'm not sure about you, but I am fearful of blood. And there's blood all over this. But I also wanted to say, blood is the lifeline. Blood is what gives us life. And so what a neat thing to celebrate that because of the death and the blood shed by one person. Right? There's no death for those who believe. And so I thought maybe you could share a little bit about the art piece and say a little bit about your thoughts about design and concepts and again, what you want to include in that art piece.
I sort of shamelessly volunteered myself to do this series art because I saw an opportunity and I like to have a creative prompt. That's the kind of artist I am. So what usually first inspires me is some sort of creative prompt that gives me direction and motivation. So I was waiting at a medical appointment and I was going to be waiting for a while. And that's when I was like, okay, time to brainstorm for the art. So I cracked open 1 John and started reading and read it, the whole sitting while I was waiting for the doctor. So what jumped out to me, I was just sort of, doing a little mini study, I suppose, while I was reading it. And what I noticed is a contrast, right? Light, dark. So you're either with me or you're not, is kind of the big theme that I saw when I was reading in 1 John especially. So you're either abiding in sin or you're abiding in me, is what the letter was communicating. So I was like, okay, that seems really strong. And then when I got to the 5th chapter, verse 8 said the Spirit and the water and the blood, and these three agree. If we receive the testimony of men, the testimony of God is greater. The testimony of God is that he has borne concerning his Son. Whoever believes in the Son of God has a testimony in himself. Whoever does not believe God has made him a liar. That's kind of almost summarizes the first book, and also it's communicating that the testimony of Christ is within the Spirit, the water, and the blood. So those three images sparked my imagination, and I immediately actually got this image in my head. So that was like, oh, that was quick, the Word of God inspires, right? So I immediately thought, Spirit, okay, dove. Water, here we have the dripping, like baptism, right? And then we have the blood. And coming from a wound in the side, kind of thing. So that was the concepts. And this is like a communion cup, but it's also the world, the globe, or us, you could say. He died for the world, Christ died for the world, and also his testimony, the Spirit and the water and blood, abides within us. So that's why it's going inside of the cup, and then also the cup is overflowing as well. Because we overflow his testimony, and that's kind of the evidence of Christ in us as well. So I wanted it to be, the blood to be like very, very bright. So because like Pastor Danny said, the blood, it's because of Christ's blood, because of sacrifice. I think sometimes modernly we sort of, the gospel is sort of neutralized, it's bloody. It's bloody. And Christ gave up so much. And so I made it monochromatic, all except for the blood, basically. So that's the general leading up to the drawing of it. And I have my little notebook here that I had all the brainstorming going on. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Can you tell us a little bit about the medium? I know it's not your typical paintbrush. It's not your...
I'm kind of a product of my generation. Even though I'm technically a millennial, I definitely favor convenience of digital medium. So I like to draw on my iPad. So I'm using digital versions of the outline. First I sketched it with quote-unquote pencil, not actual pencil. And then I used what they call a tattoo inker. I really like the sort of almost watercolor-esque look of the tattoo inker. I'm a big fan of watercolor. And then I use sort of watercolor and washes to color in the blood and shading. And then I did a little bit of this more three-dimensional, digital-only tool that kind of had a glow to put the little halo around the Holy Spirit. So very simple. I'm definitely, I like, if I don't have the convenience, it's probably not going to happen, especially with a little baby running around, so, or crawling around. So, not yet. Yeah, so those are the medium. Digital, I use an app called Sketch on my iPad.
Yeah.
Yeah, so watercolor, tattoo, inker, it's like the main
It's pretty cool to think about the different ways we can do art, that we can even do it on our iPad. And so, thank you so much, Bethany. Thank you for the art piece.